What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the John Doc YouTube channel. Sadly today I'm going to turn the camera around and show you guys what we've been dealing with all day here. Yes, it is pouring rain. So days like today, I do a lot of the kind of backside stuff that you would say, keeping busy, stuff that has to get done that I try to avoid because I just like to mess around, burn out some cars like brown sugar, as you guys saw in yesterday's video. But you gotta do some stuff. So what I've been doing right now, I have a lot of companies that I deal with, and I have a lot of great sponsors and a lot of great companies that hook me up and give me great deals. Motion Raceworks, BTR, Texas Speed, Strange Engineering, Huron Speed are just to name a few. TRZ Motorsports. There's so many. I know I'm leaving some out, and I don't mean to be disrespectful by leaving any out, but there are some. There's so many I really can't keep up. With all these builds that we have going on, it's tough to stay on top and have all the parts that you need to get them done, but having these great companies that support me and help me out make it a lot easier to do this. What I've been doing here, I've been on the phone just surfing through emails, websites, looking at the parts that we need. We have big lists in there for what builds that we have going on, what parts we need, but I know some stuff off the top of my head. Like one, for Chris's car, I was looking for an intake, and I really like the Super Victor with an elbow, and Chris's engine is set up for an LS7, so it's got LS7 style heads, LS7 intake. He was running the MSD Atomic intake that he got with a killer deal from the guys at BTR, but going to the next level, we're looking to get away from a plastic intake and go to a Super Victor style intake. The Super Victor LS7 intakes are a little bit more rare. The Cathedral Port and the LS3 are more rare. I had one of each of them. I just gave one to Jason Brazel because his engine is set up for an LS3 style head. What I did is I contacted BTR. They actually had one overstock, so absolutely smoking deal. The guys at BTR are absolutely killing it. So I scooped one up from them. So we got the intake figured out there, and then we did have that, we still do, we have that two-piece billet elbow, which I wanted to run on my car, but that is going to go on the Silverback. So it's going to have a sick setup with the Super Victor billet elbow and then Nick Williams throttle body, a Wilson throttle body, and it's going to be absolutely killer. So I'm gonna be back on the hunt looking for another one for the Boosted Rooster, because the Boosted Rooster we're gonna keep Cathedral Port, but it's still gonna run a 4150 style elbow. So I'm looking for a Wilson billet elbow and then like a 105mm throttle body. But that's just some of the stuff that we got going on. I figured I'm sitting here, I don't really want to get out of the truck 'cause it's pouring rain. That's them calling me back right now, so I'm gonna make this deal happen, and I'll get back with you guys once we're inside. All right, Ben is over here putting Brett's car back together. Brett will be representing LS Nasty at Streetcar Takeover Indy in the stick shift class if we can get everything back together. But Brett broke it pretty good, huh? Yeah, Brett sure does know how to break something.
Cooked the seal on the slave.
Cooked the seal on the slave. So we got a new slave cylinder, upgraded a fuel pump, and then just kind of going over everything. There were a couple things that were suspect, possibly. Yeah. That we are just trying to correct and make sure everything's running good. So just helping out one of my good buddies here. Brett said he wanted to really make it to Streetcar Takeover Indy, and we have a shop and we have Ben. So Ben is our secret weapon. So if we can help Brett out, because Brett's always been good to us. He's part of the LS Nasty crew, and that's what we do here. We got a bunch of guys that go to the track and help us run our cars. So if they have an issue going on with their car, we step up and we try to help them out. Kind of like one big family here, and that's how we like to operate. So everyone here, that's why you'll see Brad, his stuff gets dropped off here. Not necessarily that we are a shop working on people's cars, but the people that come and help us out, they help me run, they help Ben, they just lend a hand and are part of the team. You gotta take care of your boys, and that's what we do here. So just want to talk a little bit about the HEMI. I know this video is not too exciting, it's pouring rain, it's soaking wet out, and not much stuff going on, but do want to update you guys on what's going on with this. So we've been kind of going through it, checking everything over, and there's definitely an issue between here and there. More specifically, the air. Where all this boost is going is not where it should be going. We try to cover our asses every way we can. So we did a leak down on it. Everything was running good. The car was running great. We put it in the trailer. We took it back out, and then pow, all of a sudden, it's got a boost leak. Originally, we did believe that it was from the throttle body. The throttle body was loose. This bolt came out right here. That goes right into the plenum of the intake. So yes, obviously a boost leak. So we saw there was a hole there. We found the bolt, put it back in, RTV, Loctite, put everything in there. Should be good to go. Went out there for another pass, and boost was just falling off. So let me get a whiteboard here, and I'll draw to you guys what we have going on. We have boost here, and then RPM here. Being a Pro Charge car, everything is linear. That is how boost is going to go. Boost will increase as RPM increases. So the more RPM you turn, the more the blower speed is going to increase, the more boost you are going to make. There's not a lot of variances here because it is gear driven. There's no belt. You're not worried about belt slip. It is gears. So it's either going to do this or it's not. So as long as it's doing this, it's fine. You turn more RPMs. So let's say we shift here. We shift a little bit later. Pow, we get more boost. We leave a little bit harder. Pow, we get more boost. That is how a blower that is a gear driven works. If you have a belt on your blower, let's say you got a YSI, let's say you got a Pro Charger F1, let's say you got a D1, you got a P1, you can have belt slip, and what that does is that will create a kind of tail to the boost. So obviously, still being a centrifugal supercharger, it is going to climb in a linear fashion up with RPM, but then it might start falling off. And what this is right here is belt slip. The belt is slipping, the blower speed decreases, but the RPMs are increasing, it's losing traction, and that is, I guess, the downside to a belt on a blower. So what we have going on, this is what our log looks like, is going up good when it leaves, and then it hits about 25 pounds of boost, and then it flatlines as our RPM is still increasing. So our RPM is increasing, but the boost is staying the same. Being that it is a blower car with a gear drive, it needs to keep going up like that. So this right here is a loss of boost. This is why the car sounds dead. This is why it's running slow. This right here, all this is why we are down 13 to 20 mile per hour. So you wonder where it is. It is right here. Where did the boost go? So this chart is about as accurate as my knowledge of blowers are. You guys can say I don't know a thing, or you could say I know a lot. All I do know is that we have a boost issue. We are trying to figure out if the blower is still making boost or if it's just going somewhere. So what we've been doing is going over everything, checking the gear drive over. And the gear drive, when we changed fluid last, didn't look the happiest, but it's a gear drive. This is a heavy duty wear item. This will wear out. Going into this, you have to know this is going to wear out. There's two ways that we are trying to go about this. We looked at a couple different logs, and we looked at intake air temp. So if the blower is not working as hard, not making as much boost, the intake air temp will drop because there's less air being forced in there. Intake air temp stayed the same, so that leads me to believe that the blower itself is making the proper amount of boost. But somewhere between here and then the air going into the engine, there's a hole. It is escaping somewhere, and just a small hole will let it bleed off. Now, the reason why I do think it is a boost leak is because it does let it get up to 25, and once it reaches that threshold, then it falls off. And I know what you guys are saying, well, why would it fall off? Well, the pressure is just escaping at that point. It'll hold 25 PSI, but after 25 PSI, the pressure is just bleeding off. So we're going through everything. Our next event is that I'd like to have the car ready for is going to be the 28 tire shootout that they do at Galat, which is not this week, but the following week. And then immediately after that, that next Friday and Saturday, we're going to Maryland for Street Car Takeover. So having this car up and running is kind of a priority to me. I really want to get it dialed in. We're still running it at like 40% of its efficiency. The fuel consumption is not matching up with the mile an hour. Mile an hour is a telltale sign of horsepower. A lot of the fuel, being alcohol, is used up in the cooling process of the air charge. And yes, that is true, but we're doing a conversion for another alcohol car, so we understand that. It's mile an hour is a car that's mile an hour is of a car that's making between 15 to 1800 wheel horsepower, but the fuel consumption is that of a car that's making 2 to 2200 horsepower. So somewhere there's a loss. Now, a lot of you guys would say, well, it could be the converter. Well, the converter is tight, so we know it's not that. The converter and the transmission are spot on, but the boost leak, the air volume is there, the air pressure is not, so that volume is going to eat up that fuel. So if we find that, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we figure out what it is and we get the car to run the mile an hour that it should based off of its fuel consumption. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing goes 165, 170 out the back once we get that figured out. The intake on there is not ideal. It's the bottom manifold of a blower, and then the top is just like a turbo hat. So it is what it is. It's on the car. We're gonna make it work, but once we get it figured out, I mean, the car should really pick up. It ran, I was still pleased with the time that it ran, because it was down 10 mile an hour but ran the same time, so that shows you how much time we made up in the short time. We finally got the car to leave. It was still super soft, but still got to leave a lot better. We still have probably 2/10 we can take out the 60 foot. So someone asked a question about what's a 60 foot that you'd like to see out of that car. Ben, 60 foot you'd like to see out of the black car, a 10 anything?
Yeah.
If it goes 109, 108, 106, that's a good 60 foot. So that's what we got going on with the car. That's what we got going on here in the shop. It's hot, humid, rainy, but that's what we're dealing with. So planning to have some cars ready for test and tune this Thursday. Planning to have the Cow out there. We're going to bring in Trey's Cowmaro out there, and Brett will be gone to Street Car Takeover Indy. So if you're in Indianapolis, go and say what's up to Brett. If you are around here, come out to Glot and say what's up. And then we'll hop right back on that black car and get that thing trucking. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I know it was a boring video, but you know, welcome to my life. Some days we get boring days. Ben's over here doing math. What is all this?
Clearance.
Clearance? Are they adding up?
Yeah.
And people think you just turn wrenches all day.
No. It's sometimes math. Sometimes.
Ben's mathing so hard right now.
I forgot what.
Alright, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Like always, comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's upload, and I promise you it will have way more action.